Hello everyone and welcome to another video. This video is going to be fairly short, but it's going to be on functions of time which are very important to use correctly in your Arduino programs. First we're going to cover delay, and then we're going to talk about the delay microseconds function, then the micros function, and finally the millis function before concluding the video. So without further ado, let's get started by talking about the delay function. So the delay function pauses the program for a specified amount of milliseconds. So the syntax, as you can see above, is delay, and then in the parentheses, the number of milliseconds. It's important not to confuse these with seconds, because then your delays are going to be very short and almost imperceptible at that point. The second kind of delay is called delay microseconds. So it's going to take me a minute to write out. Delay microseconds. And keep in mind this is in camel case, so delay microseconds, parentheses. And what it does, it's the same, it's really the exact same as delay, but only with the exception that inside the parentheses, as you may have guessed, you're going to be using microseconds. So microseconds. One thing to note about delay microseconds is that it's inaccurate for values larger than, this is going to be a big number, 16,383. Nearing this number is simplest to use just the standard delay function, but delay microseconds is always there in case you want to use it. Before going on to the next two kinds of functions, I'm just going to delete this real quick so it's a clean slate. And now we're going to talk about micros. So when the micros function is called, it returns the number of microseconds since the Arduino board began running. So returns microseconds since board began running. Since the board began running. And this, since it obviously can't run forever, this micros function will reset after approximately 70 minutes of board operation. 70 minutes of operation. Now the syntax for micros is a bit different to the syntax for delay and delay microseconds. The syntax for micros is, as you can see in the image, time equals micros and then two parentheses. In this image here, we can see time equals micros. And then the time is called in the serial println function, which simply prints the value time on the computer if your Arduino is hooked up to it, and that way you can actually see the time that the board has been running. Lastly, before concluding the video, we're going to talk about millis. Now, millis are the same as micros, but simply in milliseconds. So there is obviously an overflow or reset point, but that point for millis is currently 50 days. So it runs for much longer, and the syntax is as follows. Time equals millis. So you can see there's two kinds of functions of time in Arduino. The first implements delays. So the first implements delays and delays the program, right? For a given number of time, it stops the program. The second, though, returns the amount of time that the program has been running. So it returns time that the program has been running. Program has ran. And what's cool about both of these is that they both follow the same structure. For example, this can be broken down into millis or micros, while this can also be broken down into millis or micros. So that's the time functions for you. I hope you have found this video helpful. Again, very short, but you should be able to go out in your programs and implement this immediately.